Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Marsha.
How are you today?
I'm doing really well. Robert got results back today. Yesterday on one of the, well, actually, this is the test that he had an appointment for, July 9th, and so he tested negative, which his quarantine period is over already, and there were no symptoms, and none of us caught it, or, none of us had symptoms either, so we were pretty sure he was negative at that point. But it was nice to get some test results, but I can't believe how long it's taking.
Yeah. Well, there's been articles in the paper about the long lines, the long waits, and then the long wait to actually have the test given, and then the long waits to get the results. And then also there was an article in the New York Times, I think last week or Sunday. That's not the point. The point is that we don't have apparently in this country, we don't have a standard of reporting test results. Some clinics that are giving tests, they don't have the software to send information privately. They're faxing it or they're mailing it just by the snail mail. And so there isn't a unified system of how they're reporting this information, and they're not collecting all the same information. They're not collecting phone numbers and emails, and so
he hasn't gotten the results from the drop-in test that was on July 2nd. Those are supposed to be mailed. He was supposed to get a call if he was positive and get something in the mail if he was negative, and he hasn't gotten anything in the mail yet. But then he kept his appointment on the 9th, just in case the test results from the 2nd came back positive, because he didn't know what those results were. He went ahead and went to his appointment on the 9th. And so anyway, but it's all over. Thank you to everyone who emailed and messaged and sent me mail on Ravelry and Instagram with well wishes. It was really nice to hear from all of you and all that good energy. We all stayed healthy, so.
Yeah. So you breathe a bit of a sigh of relief now.
Yeah.
This. Yeah.
In fact, he went back to work today.
Okay.
So, and he said he's not going in the building. They do the change of shift meeting, and he said he's just going to do the change of shift meeting from outside on his radio. Yeah. They had a couple of other people who had some days that they had to be off because of high temperature readings and things, but everybody from that is also back at work, so.
Good. Yeah, as I say, a relief.
Yeah.
And what else is going on?
I just got back from a walk. I did 7 miles today. And
yes, and I have to ask you about your virtual walk that you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm in El Segundo right now.
So how does this work? You just are tracking your miles each day?
I go to a website and I put the miles that I do into the website, and then it shows me where I am on the map. And so today I just passed through El Segundo on the Google map that they show. So I've gone 141 miles. I took about a week off. Actually, it was a week off. I didn't mean to, but I just was getting busy, and then I didn't get out, and so I got a little bit behind. But I made a training plan this morning and put in, what I plan to do, and I'm setting it up like I'm training for a half marathon. So, increasing my miles up to 13, and then once I get to the half marathon, I might decide that I want to train like for a 20 miler and increase my miles after that, with it going up to half marathon distance. I have planned it out where my weekly mileage right now is a little lower, and my weekly mileage toward the end will be a little higher. So even though I'm technically a little behind the average of 5 miles a day, I'm a little bit behind that. I'll have days with more mileage as we move forward. So anyway, I just had to rethink it for myself to make sure it was still doable after I fell off the wagon for a week. But I'm back on. So
okay, good.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Can anybody in the world participate in this?
Only in the U.S.
Okay. And so do you go to a website to do all of this? Okay. What's the website?
The website that they're using is called Run Sign Up. Okay. But how I got there, that's the tracking place. But the actual website that talks about it is I just, if you Google Run Across California, you can get to that site, I think. Okay. So, but it's not technically across, it's up. But yes, they have one that goes across from San Diego to Arizona. And then they have one that goes from San Diego up to, it doesn't actually go to the Oregon border. It's 1,000 miles. It gets you to Eureka. So, and it's on real roads. I mean, I'm going on real roads, and there are a couple of places so far where I've actually been on the highway.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you're going on real roads?
I mean, in the map. When you look on the map, it's not just, it's Google Maps, and then the route is a walking route. You know how you can go into the map and
okay, so if you're actually physically walking you are physically walking it, but if you were actually walking the route,
that's what the map shows.
You would be on highways and
on
real roads and real highways.
I think at some point I'm going to be on Highway 1 where I know you can't actually walk.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I don't know. I haven't looked that carefully at the rest of the map route to see that. I think there's probably some places where my little icon is walking along a place that an actual person wouldn't be allowed to walk. Yeah. So, but it's been fun. It gave me something to work towards, and that I needed that. Just going out and walking the dog wasn't enough motivation. I mean, it's motivation to tire her out so she's easier to live with, but it just wasn't quite enough motivation.
So is Bailey walking with you on most of this? Or?
Yeah. There have been a couple of times that I've walked alone because she was having a stomach upset problem, but she's doing fine now, and yeah, she walks with me.
Well, when she came to live with you, she didn't know she was going to have to do all this walking.
I know, really.
She thought she was just going to be lying around in the backyard. But
well, I don't know about that. She comes back from the walk, and we go out in the backyard, and then she starts racing around,
Yeah.
Like it's a racetrack, so. But
it's not exhausting her, really.
No, I mean, she gives me a little bit of time where I don't have to worry that she wants something to do. So. Yeah. So what about your deck, Marsha?
Well, we're making progress. It feels like it's a little slow, but I keep reminding myself that it's sort of like when you're going to knit a sweater, you have to knit a swatch, and you have to do all this planning, and you have to do counting and measuring and math. It's sort of the same thing. There's a lot of standing out in the backyard, pointing and scratching heads and saying, No, but we've made, we've got all the concrete footings are poured, the little metal stirrups are in all the concrete, and we've got today the first beam that went up that actually ties into the house. We got that up today. And my brother and my son, my brother and my son, you know who they are, Mark and Ben. They're out working on it right now. And I came in to record. And so they've got the second beam up, and they're putting all the stringers in between. And I've got all the wood ordered. All the wood for the understructure has been delivered. And the decking, I'm using ipe wood, and that all of that will be delivered, I believe, on the 24th. So we're going to get all of the understructure will be done and the stairs will be built, so then we can just put the decking material on. And then it won't be completely finished because we then have to put like a skirt around the bottom of it, so you won't see under the deck. And then we have to build. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do to build a fence on the north side of the deck, so we don't. So we have privacy from the neighbor, and also to keep Enzo in. Otherwise, he could just get out. So we have that to do. But we're making pretty good progress. But I think any project, if you're not, we don't. I mean, I haven't built anything like this ever.
Right.
And so one of the big things about starting any project is the tools, getting all the right tools. And so we had to sort of cobble things together by borrowing. Our friend Dave loaned us like a chop saw and a table saw. We had to get levels. All these little things you don't think about needing. Yeah,
Robert does a lot of renting of tools when he's doing projects and thinking about the slowness of it. I mean, that's do it yourself how it works, right? You aren't as fast as if you hire a crew to come in and. Well, and
I was actually, there's been moments where I've thought to myself, now why didn't I just because I had estimates to put this in and they were going to start, they were available to start in May. And I do have moments where I think, well, now why didn't I do that? Well, the thing is, I don't think we had fully formed the design. Yeah. So it's been good that, we knew the basic idea of what we wanted and the shape, but all the little details about how the stairs are going to be, how the frame going around the decking, how it's going to work, all those little details, it had to be worked out. Yeah. And it would be difficult to explain those to a contractor. I think we had to, figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Ben I'm really impressed with him, how he's so analytical, lots of measuring. He wants everything to line up. Instead of just like, screwing screws in, he measures before he screws them in. He wants to make sure that they're all like in a line, where you're never going to see it. It's under the deck. It's this understructure, but he's still very, very precise. And
kind of like Robert is about stuff. Sometimes I wonder, like, oh my gosh, why are you? It's inside the wall.
I know, but we're not using as many screws as Robert uses, though.
That's true. The listeners, Marsha is referring to the extension to our front gate that Robert put in for Bailey, and I think he has a screw every inch, and then all of the places where he had to cut holes in the wall for the electrical work that he did, and he put the sheetrock back in, and he has like a screw every inch to screw it.
Yeah, there's a screw every inch around the patch, and then that fence. I counted, there was something like 20 screws in. I don't know, it was like 6 inches or so, like tall and maybe 2 inches wide or something. He likes his screws.
Yes, he does.
But you know what? It's not going anywhere.
Right. That's exactly true.
So we're making progress, and I think
good.
I think once we get this, the understructure part is the most complicated because you have to get everything level, and you have to, sort of basically you have to measure down so you know where the top of the deck, because it has to meet the back porch and be level. And then you have to figure out, what the height of the decking material, the height of the beam, where to put the footing, and it's just a lot of measuring, getting things level, and I'm pleased that all that money I spent on math tutoring has paid off, because a lot of math was taking place out in the backyard, and Ben knows like how to make something square and the math behind all of that. So money well spent.
If you would have known all those years ago when you were tearing your hair out.
I know. Which, incidentally, I was thinking about, Ben, with one of the thoughts that is always going through my head as I'm watching all of this. But the one thought was, it was, as you know, and I probably have talked about in the podcast, that it was school was really difficult for Ben. And we had a lot of, it was a struggle. And I was thinking, if I had to do it all over again, I think I would do it exactly the same. I think this idea of kids, maybe I wouldn't do it exactly the same. Maybe I would have picked a different school for him to go to than the one I picked. But, the traditional path is not for everybody. And, going your 4 years in high school and then your 4 years in college. And, he's now been 3 or 4 years at the community college, but he's so motivated. He has a 4-point and he's just really motivated and he's thoughtful and creative. And, he's going to get there in the end. I mean, he's not going to be, as I said, living in my basement, a 55-year-old man living in my basement,
Right.
But it's like, it is, Kelly, it was a real struggle, his getting through school. And anybody listening that has kids that are struggling in school, there's hope,
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, the deck, it's coming along. But anyway, projects, should we talk projects?
Yeah. What kind of knitting do you have going on?
Well, right now I'm working on one of the Arna and Carlos socks, the yarn I bought in Iceland. And I kind of set that aside. I haven't touched it for quite a while because I was working on the other projects, but I'm kind of in I can't say stuck, but I don't have anything that I can really knit on right now as we're recording. So I pulled out this sock. So I'm almost down to the toe of the first one.
Okay.
What I've been working on is my summer Fjord, and that's Trin-Annelie and Quince & Co. Sparrow in the 3 colors. Anyway, Kelly, I finished the body.
Oh, good.
And you know how it has short rows in the back to make the back a little bit longer? And I decided not to do that, so I just left that out. So it just goes straight all the way around. And now I need to pick up for to finish the armholes. And because of the first one I made, what you're supposed to do is just pick up stitches around the armhole and just do ribbing. And when I cast this one on, I decided I wanted to make sleeves, so I have them a little bit longer, because the first one I made, they end up sort of like cap sleeves, and I don't really like that. But now that I finished it, it seems pretty large, like they're going to drop down like drop sleeves. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of just picking up and knitting the ribbing or sleeves, I think what I need to do is just wash it and see how it fits after I wash it and block it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So I'm going to do that. And I just haven't done it because, there's been a deck.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to keep up with my laundry, let alone wash the sweater. So, but I'm going to do that first, and then I'll figure out about the sleeves. But then that's all I need to do.
That's
either
good.
Do the ribbing or sleeves and ribbing. So I'll make that decision here in a little bit. So, and then I haven't been working on. There was a sweater I was going to cast on. I finished the swatch, but I haven't cast on yet at all. But I have been spinning, and I've spun 2 skeins of the. I was using Huckleberry Knits, Targhee bamboo silk blend, and Sauked in Farms 50/50 alpaca Babydoll Southdown Wool. And I'm doing a 3-ply. So I'm doing, is to remind listeners, I'm doing 1 ply is the solid kind of aqua color, and then the other 2 are the painted or variegated. I think it's really pretty. I like it. It's the color repeats are really long. So, and I what I did is I split the each braid into 3s. But I split it in half, and so I'm spinning with 1/2, and then the other half I split into 2. So it's like a 1/2 and 2/4 that I'm spinning, and thinking that would sort of break up the color repeats. Like there'd be one really long one, and then the other one would be like shorter ones.
Right.
I don't know that it's really working that well, but so I think that when this does knit up, I'm going to have blocks of color, which either will be really nice or maybe not. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I think it will be nice. The fact that you've got the 3rd ply, for one thing, will make it nice. And then I like those. That idea is called a fractal spin. And I really like how those look, because they have sort of a gradation of color and then a solid bit, and then when you knit them up, like a more solid stripe, and then gradation where the colors are all mixed, and then a solid stripe. So I think those turn out really pretty.
Yeah. And anyway, so I think I think it's probably DK weight. But based on the weight and ounces of the first 2 skeins that I've spun, I think I'll have about 900 yards.
Oh, that's nice.
So I don't know. I think, would that be enough for a vest, do you think?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you'll have to swatch and then go look in the advanced pattern search.
Yeah. So, and then I'm hoping to finish this. I've got 2 bobbins are full. One of the aqua, one of the first bobbin of the multicolored. And I have 1 more bobbin. I'm halfway done of the 3rd bobbin of the multicolored for the 3-ply. And so I should be able to finish it hopefully this weekend or the next couple of days, because I want to start cotton. I found I had a whole ball of cotton roving from, okay, I'm sorry. Give me a moment. I've forgotten her name.
Sally Fox.
Sally Fox. Thank you. So I found that I had a ball of that. So I'm going to try spinning cotton. I've not done it before, so I'm kind of excited to try it.
Yeah, that'll be fun to hear about.
Yeah. So that's it for me for projects. Not much.
Well, your deck is one big project.
It's kind of overwhelming. Honestly, it's a bit overwhelming. It'll be fine, though.
Well, anyway. I'm not too much better than you are. I'm, of course, still knitting on the famous Mariannes cardigan. That's a tee instead of a cardigan. Short sleeve tee. So I'm knitting on it right now. I think I've got about maybe 11 inches under the underarms. So I'm getting close.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm getting close to the end.
You're probably past where you were when you ripped it out.
Yes, I think I am past where I was when I ripped it out. So that's good news. Trine Bertelsen is the designer, and I'm using, it's called Blue Heron Egyptian Mercerized Cotton. And I've got a sort of purple, but mostly denim blue color for the body. And then the crocheted yoke is a sort of a jewel tone green with some of that same purple and kind of teal in it. So I'm looking forward to having this done. I'd said that before. I've been boring talking about this for the last year, I think. But it will soon be done, maybe by the next episode. I should put myself a goal to have this done. 2 weeks is probably enough if I actually work on it to get it done. So that's my ongoing boring project. And then I started a pair of socks for Robert out of the same yarn that I used for the paving mitts. So I've got a multicolor, sort of rainbow colored fingering weight yarn from Twist Fiber Studio, and it's the body of the sock, the main part of the sock. And then I have the Drops Fobble, Garn Studio Drops Fobble for the cuff and heels and toes. And I'm going to run out, I think, of the multicolor. And I think I mentioned in the last episode that I was going to maybe put a stripe around the midfoot in the sort of cobalt blue color. So have heels, stripe in the midfoot, and toes. And he's like, no, I don't want that. Just make bigger toes. And I said, well, I think it would look better, like more intentional, if there was like stripes in the middle of the foot. Even if it's not one stripe, it could be thin stripes, like 3 or 5 thin stripes, right? To stretch out this yarn. No, just go till the yarn is over and then make the toe bigger. And I said, so you are okay if your toe starts halfway up your arch? your solid toe? He's like, well, that would look a lot better than stripes in the middle. And I thought, I don't know why you think that would look better. I think stripes in the middle would look like I did it on purpose. And
it was intentional. Yeah.
Your toe starting in the middle of your foot is not going to look like that. So
what are you doing? You're doing it the way he wants it done? Or?
Yeah, it's easier. What he wants me to do is easier. So I'm not working on those during the podcast recording because I have to weigh the yarn. I've gotten both socks to the same point of the midfoot. Mm-hmm. And so now I have to weigh my remaining yarn and figure out like how much can go on one sock, cut it in half, how much can go on one sock and how much can go on the other. And I didn't have time to do, I didn't have time to, because my scale is out in the garage. I didn't have time to go out to the garage to weigh what was remaining before we started recording. And I didn't want to have to be weighing along the way while I was recording because I was afraid I would forget. And then I would have to rip back what I had knit because I had knit too far. So anyway, I don't understand him sometimes. I think it would look so much better to have a series of stripes in the middle of your foot, like 3 or 5 little, like 2-row stripes. But he doesn't see it like I do. And since his way is easier, I'm like, all right, I'll just make big toes.
Yeah, I agree with you, but just give him what he wants.
Yeah, it's easier, so I'll get them done. They should be done pretty quickly because I'm really close. I have to say I really like the broken rib stitch that I'm using. And I don't think I looked it up anywhere. I think I just kind of, I didn't make it up. It's a stitch. It's a pattern, I'm sure. So I do a row of 2x2 ribbing, right? Or a round of 2x2 ribbing. I do a round of just plain knit. I do another row of 2x2 knitting. Mm-hmm. And then the next row, the 4th row of the repeat, I slip the second stitch in every knit part of the ribbing. So instead of knit 2, purl 2, it's knit 1, slip 1, purl 2, knit 1, slip 1, purl 2. It doesn't really matter which one of the 2 knit stitches you slip. I'm sure it doesn't matter. But anyway, because of the slip stitching, because the slip stitch gives you like a double layer, it's a really squishy, thick. It's nice and thick and warm feeling and soft. Yeah. And I'm going to use that again. I like ribbed socks anyway, but this just this broken rib gives a little more interest with the yarn because of the, the purl part, those purl parts of the ribbing are more like garter stitch. So they show off the color a little bit better. And then the slip stitches break up the color also, plus make that ribbed section kind of puff out more than it normally does. So anyway, I'm really excited about how they feel. And I'm going to make myself a pair of socks with this stitch pattern because they really feel nice. And then also compared to the ribbing at the top, the cuff, the ribbing at the top at the cuff sucks in a lot, and the ribbing in the body doesn't suck in as much because of that garter stitch instead of purl. Yeah. So, but I'm really enjoying this stitch pattern. It's a good combination of stitch pattern and yarn. Whereas those Babydoll Southdown socks that I made, that was not a good. I did not like knitting them because it wasn't a good marriage of stitch pattern and yarn and size of needle. So were they just stockinette? Is that what you're... No, I had a purl row. It's the same kind of thing where I was doing the broken rib, but instead of doing the slip stitch row, I was doing one row that was all purl.
Oh, okay.
So I have purl ridges, and I don't know if that was part of it or if it was just the stiffness of the fabric. I think it was a combination. Because of that purl row, you didn't have any of the pull-in that ribbing gives, even though it was a broken rib. But this one, you do get some of that pull-in that ribbing does. So
okay.
So I'm happy with how they're turning out. I
love the color.
I wish he would let me do the stripes. Actually, if I really wanted to, I could do that. But I'm going to do what he wants because it makes it faster for me anyway.
Yeah.
So those are my two knitting projects that are currently on the needles. I'm thinking about doing something with some hand spun that I have. I haven't added up my yardage, but I have 2 skeins that are from a braid. So I have a Polworth silk braid that's in blue and rust. I think it's Huckleberry. I think I bought it at the St. Distaff's Day. And then I have another that's more turquoise blue and rust that is from a fiber club that I was part of for a while. So I've had this for a long time. And so it was a braid, so 100 grams. And they both look like they're maybe about worsted weight. And then I have a Targhee that is about the same. It's a 3-ply. I think these are all 3-plies. Yeah, they're all 3-plies. The Targhee's a 3-ply, and it's about the same size. And then I have that Tasmanian comeback skein in the rust. And the Targhee is a turquoise. So I've got turquoise and rust, 2 different braids of turquoise rust colorway, a solid turquoise and a solid rust. And I'm thinking I'm going to do a blanket.
So are you going to combine all those together, or are you going to spin because these are braids, are you going to spin them separately?
These are already spun. This is hand spun that I already have. It's just been hanging around. Okay. And like I often do, I sit in the sunroom and I look at my yarn and I think, oh, you two kind of match. Oh, wait, what if I put this one with you? Oh, cool. What if I put this other one with you? That looks really pretty. So that's what I kind of was doing. And I thought, oh, I don't really have enough to make a very big blanket. It'd be more like the kind of thing that I would throw over my shoulders or put on my lap. I'm not even sure I have that much. I might want to go rummaging around for something to use as warp and, to stretch this out a little bit and weave a small blanket with it. I don't know, but they've been sitting in a pile together and kind of tempting me to make something. Yeah. So maybe I thought about a crochet blanket. I thought about a knitted blanket, and I thought about a woven one. I think the yarn will stretch further if I weave with it. Yeah. You get more.
Especially if you use a different warp.
Yeah, if I find something that I can use for warp. But even if I just use these, I know that at least one of them is strong enough to use for warp. Even if I just use these, I think I'll get a bigger piece of fabric if I weave with it than if I knit or crochet. So anyway, that's kind of in the thought processes of knitting or weaving or crocheting. And then I finished my rug yarn. I don't remember if I had already finished in the last episode. I think I was close. The combo spin that I was doing with the Lincoln roving, that's finished. I have about 900 yards of that. And then I started, I had a Columbia fleece, and I took I had half of a Columbia fleece. It came from Black Sheep Gathering. I think we split it, or maybe I split it with someone else. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember. It
was a couple years old, 3 years old, something like that. And so I had half is about 3 pounds. And I washed it up, and then I started carding it, and now I'm spinning it. So it's, I'm spinning it woolen, so it's nice and fluffy, and I think I'm going to do a 3-ply. I'm hoping for a real nice soft yarn. Nice. The fleece is really nice. Columbia, I don't think of Columbia as being as fine as this fiber is, but it's a really soft fiber. It has quite a bit of foxtails in it. But I, picked them out as I was picking, I picked them out. And then as I was carding, I picked more out. And now that I'm spinning, most of them, I can get out before, in the spinning process. If I see one, which there aren't that many left, I'll pick it out. So there's some vegetable matter, but overall it's spinning up to be really nice. Yeah. And nice. It wasn't super expensive. So, sometimes you have to do a little more work when you get those good deals.
Yes. That's true.
Yep. I mean, it's not junk wool by any means. It just is not a coated fleece, Yeah. And I'm used to that. I've spun a lot of fleeces that weren't coated, but I have some nice ones in the garage that I'd like to get out and get washed and maybe do a little bit more with them as we go through our summer spinning.
Yeah. Well, anything else?
No, that's all I'm working on.
Okay. Yeah, we're both, we both don't have a lot right now.
No.
But plans in the works, though.
Yeah. So all that talk about spinning, Marsha, I wanted to just talk a little bit about the summer spin-in thread that we have in the Ravelry group. We have some new spinners, and I'm just so happy to see what they've been doing. So Rachel, Hockey Rachel, she has been spinning, and she's a new spinner, brand new spinner. She's got one of those little electric wheels, and she's made several skeins now of yarn. So that's really cool to see. And then Angie from, a friend that we've met in person, Pine Lake Chic, she's also a new spinner. She actually technically was spinning before. Last year, I think, is when she started spinning. But it's been a while, I guess she said. And so that was exciting to see her new spinning. So she said, it's almost like starting from scratch. It's been so long.
Yeah.
And then we have R.L. Matthews, her first ever full skein of hand spun yarn, Rachel, or maybe Rochelle. And she posted in the finished thread an alpaca skein, really pretty pale yellow multicolor skein. And then there's also, I guess I would call her a pre-spinner, Elizabeth. She has a new baby. She's like, I'm not sure. I thought I was going to be able to do more spinning, but a newborn is a lot more work. So she does have the bag of wool. And she posted early on in the thread about how she had gotten this bag of wool. She had thought she wanted to spin, but that was in her, distant future, not right now. But because she had gotten this bag of wool, she was thinking it would be a good time to maybe see if she could start somehow with some kind of a spindle. So she got lots of advice from different people. And that was about a month and a half or two ago. And then she just popped back in to say, okay, she's ready to do something with this fleece now. And the baby is born, and she's ready to do something with this fleece now. So she's going to be washing up fleece and maybe flick carding it with a dog brush. Or maybe just, picking it apart with her fingers, depending on how long it is, to make a cloud and spin it that way. So that was... and I don't know, I did say her name was Elizabeth, yeah. So she, EMM Knits. So she's getting ready to start spinning. So it's always fun for me to see people just learning to spin, just because for me, that was such a magical time in my life that, I had wanted to spin for a while. And when I finally learned, it was like, this is my thing, I was a spinner with a capital S way before I was a knitter or a weaver or a crocheter or any of those other things with any kind of capital letter. So it's been really fun to see people's projects and progress in the Ravelry thread. And it's going until the beginning of September, Labor Day, September 7th. So there's still plenty of time for people to join in if they're thinking of spinning. Yeah.
Because we're doing it. We're spinning. I think this has been a great contest that we're doing, because I haven't spun for a year probably. And I think I said this in the last episode too. Like, it's just been so, it's just so rewarding. It's very meditative and there's a lot of progress, and especially with the variegated fiber, it's ever changing kind of, and it's just so hands-on and tactile,
Yeah. And for the most part, it's a fast finish. I mean, if you're just doing one skein, it's a really fast finish. If it's a whole braid, that might be a little bit longer. Or of course, if you're like some of the people, we have a couple of people in the group who who are doing sweater spins, and Kathleen, same one, she actually carded, spun, and plied, and did a whole bunch of sampling of a Jacob fleece that she has, and finished her sweater spin. So that's a much longer project, but you can have a really quick win. That's what I like about spinning. You can have a really quick win if all you want is to just, spin of a bobbin of something, wind it into a center pull ball and ply it up, and you're done. That's a fast. Yeah. It's like knitting a dishcloth or something. Yeah, but a lot more satisfying.
Yeah, and as I said before too, it's like it's ever changing. It looks one way in the braid or fleece, another way as singles, another way plied, depending on how many plies you have. Another way when you wind it into a hank. Another way when you wind it into a ball. Another way when you start actually knitting with it. Yeah. So it's just fun to see how it keeps changing.
And you can make the same fiber look different too. Like I have one of the skeins that I was talking about putting into that blanket is a 3-ply. And then when I got to the end of the 3-ply, instead of, what I've talked about doing before, where I finagle it to get as much of the 3-ply as I can, I just went ahead and spun the rest of it as a 2-ply. So I've got a 3-ply and a 2-ply out of the same roving, and they look different. I mean, they don't look totally different. They look coordinating, but they look different. And then there's a couple of people who have done cabled yarn where you do two plies and then you ply them together.
Oh, right.
And if you have a colored, if you have a multicolored braid of yarn or a roving top, and you spin that and then you cable ply it like that, you get again a whole different look of like speckles, little speckles, which is really fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot of things you can do with one colorway, I guess is the way I should describe it, if you wanted to.
Okay. So. Yeah. Well, it's been fun. I've been enjoying seeing what people are posting with their finished objects and what they're working on. And then we should probably talk a little bit too about the people who are knitting with hand spun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's also part of the contest. If you're not a spinner, you can knit with hand spun. So, what do you think of some of what people are?
Yeah, I'm going to go posting? Look there right now. Oh, I know what I was going to mention is that there are quite a few of us, not in this thread, but who have been encouraging people who are new to spinning to make something out of their yarn. And so we were all showing pictures of what we had made out of our early yarn. And most of us had made little pouches to hang on our spinning wheel for the spinning oil. But there's also hot pads and coasters. There's a little bird. Rachel, this is Rachel, the new spinner. She made a little bird that she posted. There's some mittens, really pretty mittens.
Hats.
Grable made a beautiful blanket out of hand spun, all natural colored wool, the habitation blanket, habitation throw. Really nice. It has all kinds of different fiber in it, and they're all different, all natural colors. So that's really pretty. There's a woven item, a scarf, some hats, some little hearts. Yeah, there's a lot of really, really great projects in here. There's fewer of them than there are just the spins, but it's a fun thing to look at. Yeah. So even if you're not joining in with the spinning, I would encourage you, if you go on Ravelry, if you look at the Ravelry boards, take a look at all the pictures of all the fun things people are making.
Yeah, no, it's been really fun. It's been fun to see the spinning, and then it's fun to see the what people are knitting with their hand spun or crocheting with their hand spun. So yeah, it's been fun. So the contest ends Labor Day weekend, September 7th at midnight. So join in. Yeah. And so what else do we have here to talk about?
Well, I just wanted to give a shout out to Wendy, who messaged us, emailed us. I was going through email this morning and remembered that I had meant to put this in the show notes, I think last time, but I forgot. Anyway, she mentioned, Marsha, to you about the afterthought heel from your episode with your long tube that you cut in half and made afterthought heel socks. And she was recommending a sock pattern called the Bullseye Heel Socks by Sandy Rosner. And that's in her book, Not Just Socks. So she uses that to make sure that her self-striping socks match. And she says it's really pretty easy. Your heel is just really another toe. You just go back and pick up stitches and make another toe. That's a really good way to describe it.
And I have to say that makes total sense. And a lot more sense than what I did. What I did was just dumb. Now that I know more, I realize how dumb what I did was. So anyway, we won't revisit that. But I think this is great. And I appreciate this. I don't know that I'll do another after thought heel, but this sounds like this is the way to do it.
Yeah. So, it sounds very simple.
Yeah.
And also easy if you're trying to read a pattern and the pattern isn't making sense to you, it kind of helps to think, this pattern is just telling me to make a toe. Yeah. Make another toe sticking off the back of my tube, and that's the heel. And it seems like they wouldn't fit right, but they do. I mean, for some people, they really fit really well, better than others. But even for those that they don't fit really well, they do. It does actually make a heel when you just put a toe sticking off the back of your sock. So anyway, thanks, Wendy, for that recommendation.
Kelly, the other thing we cannot forget to talk about, but the shop.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that I don't have a lot going on in the project arena. And one of the reasons I think, although I can't really blame that on my not walking, or blame my not walking on the shop. But I was just so engrossed in what I was doing that I didn't want to stop and go walking, and then it was just easy not to. So, but anyway, the shop has now some new colorways of the fingering weight Replenish Rambouillet that we've had before. And just to remind people, the Replenish Rambouillet is the climate beneficial yarn. It's grown in Northern California, Bear Ranch. And the ranch has carbon sequestration practices, which means it pulls carbon from the atmosphere into the soil, that actually makes the wool that's produced not just carbon neutral, but what they call climate beneficial. It puts more carbon into the soil than it actually is used to make the wool. So that's we've had that Replenish Rambouillet in fingering weight. We have some new colors in the shop, and then we also now have it, and the fingering weight is a 2-ply. So it's not really a sock yarn. It's that weight, but it would not be a good choice for socks. But perfect for shawls. Marsha made a shawl out of it just recently. Yeah. But now we have a sport weight and an Aran weight, or heavy worsted or Aran weight. The sport weight is 3-ply. The Aran weight is 5-ply. And oh my gosh, they are the most round and plump skeins of yarn. It really is nice.
They're juicy.
Yeah, very juicy. Yeah. The difference between the 2-ply and the round, the 2-ply is really nice, but the roundness of the 3-ply and the 5-ply is just really something. So, and the sport weight has quite a few new colors in the shop. It's the Iceland collection. These are yarns that Marsha dyed, and you used your Iceland trip as an inspiration.
Yeah, it was fun. I think we dyed all these when I was down there in February, right? For the getting ready to go to Stitches. Yeah. And so we have, and Kelly, you were helpful too with the names. There's my favorite, I think, is salmon on rye. And of course,
Arctic
the famous
char.
Arctic char. So yeah, check out the colors. It was really fun naming them and dyeing them. I think, Kelly, when I was down there, you were going to work, but I was just out in the garage getting lost in dyeing.
Yeah.
And it was...
yeah, it's been a while that I didn't have a chance to get them all ready and get them in the shop, but now I took some time and made that a goal. I wanted to have that ready for this episode. So if anyone would like to support the podcast and get yarn in return, head over to the shop and take a look. Oops, forgot to tell you the website. It's 2usfiberadventures.com, and you can find a link to it in the show notes as well. There's also the Aran weight. They're not in the shop yet, but they will be by the time this goes live. Is all in different shades of green. So this is sort of they don't have names yet, but they're kind of a study in green. So there was one green base layer, base color, and then from that base layer of green, some different things were done on top of it to get the different colors. So, so right now in that weight of yarn, there's only green. But they're really pretty greens, and they're all the different colors all coordinate, but they're different. So, and then the other thing we have right now is I have some Valley Oak wool milled yarn. Valley Oak is up in Woodland, California, up near Sacramento, and so I sent her some Romney fleece, and then I was going to look it up, what it is, and I can't remember now what the white fleece is. I went to look it up, and the white fleece is a Corriedale Rommeldale cross, and so we have those skeins. Those are probably also Aran weight, worsted to Aran weight, and they're both available as natural colors, and then I'll be dyeing some of those too. So, but that'll be the future. But for right now, we have the natural colors, the gray and the white, available. So, yeah, it's exciting.
It's fun finding these things, and it was fun, super fun dyeing it.
Yeah,
you could spend hours out in the garage just playing with color.
Yeah. I really like that we have the combination of the more small batch, single fleece or small flock yarn. The Romney was a couple of Romney fleeces. The white is just one fleece milled up. So we have the combination of that from a really small mill, and then the Replenish Rambouillet, which is from a larger flock from Northern California. She's a pretty large operation, and milled at a larger mill, so a different look and feel to the yarn, a much more refined look and feel to the yarn than the small mill, but both are really, really pretty. In fact, I think the Valley Oak wool mill, the yarn that came from that mill, would make a great, like a jacket sweater or coat sweater. I've been looking at that thinking, I have a pattern called Gambier or Gambier in my queue. It's kind of a Cowichan style sweater, kind of 1970s look, kind of geometric pattern, but it's long. It's like a long coat or jacket sweater. And I keep thinking, that would make a perfect one of those. So
Kelly,
I know I haven't swatched or anything. It's all, it's imaginary knitting.
Imaginary knitting. Yeah.
That may or may not ever actually happen. But so, the shop has yarn in it again.
So start shopping.
Yeah. Take a look. Yeah.
And I don't think we have anything else, do we?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, we'll talk.
All right. Bye-bye.
Alrighty, bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.